All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Aussies Taking Over the NBA. We are live currently. We are doing a playoff preview. It is one day late since I was getting married yesterday.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So we will be wrapping up today's games.
Yeah. At the end, we'll talk about it.
At the end, but talk about it. But we want to preview, obviously, what's going on and some of the interesting...
After that really hectic, like, who knew where anyone was going to fall?
Yeah, no one kind of had any clue.
Besides basically Brooklyn and Orlando pretty much just romping at home and finishing, what did they finish, 6 and 7?
Yeah.
Leaving, I think, Detroit, Charlotte and Miami to kind of duke it out in the East. The West was pretty much locked up. It was basically who was going to play who by the end.
Yeah.
Which ended up kind of not really falling the way that I think the NBA wouldn't have wanted Houston, Warriors and the Jazz to or Houston and the Warriors basically to ended up on one side of the draw.
Yeah.
And Denver is on the other side of the draw, which is kind of a mess because... Oh, but at the same time, maybe it's Houston, Denver, or it's Warriors, Denver, like coming out of the opposite side of the draw. But it just kind of lumped those two teams. Like, I don't think people want to see a Houston Warriors second round.
No, neither do I. I think they really would like to see that as a conference final. That's the pinnacle. Because you know that any other team is pretty much going to get munged in 4. So even
probably,
television ratings wise, you want a good.
But I guess not every season can end in the perfect way.
No.
Part of me, like, it's gotten so engineered that, but the ratings need to be really good. Yeah, but it's a tournament and teams play teams and then who wins and who loses goes through. Like,
yeah,
you can't just go, but if we just massage it so this team gets through, that's all right. It's going to be better in the finals then. I don't like that, man, because a lot of these teams are about on par with each other in terms of how good they are.
Yeah.
Warriors and Houston, Denver and OKC are probably about on the same par. Obviously, Denver's first final series, we'll talk about them. They're obviously who they play in the Spurs. They played this morning. We won't spoil or anything. We'll go on it. We'll talk about it at the end of this podcast. But yeah, so we'll start off in the East. Do you reckon?
Yeah, let's start off in the East.
Detroit and the Bucks. So
you would have to think that Detroit have this. The Bucks have this locked down pretty well. I don't see Detroit pipping a game out of them.
Nah.
Maybe one. No, not really.
Maybe.
No.
Like, it's
just Giannis going to take over. You know, this guy is the freakiest NBA player.
It's a kind of never say never thing, but you
never say never. But you've really got to think of how this is going to go postseason, and it's going to be
they're going to get smashed.
Like, but you know what? Detroit scraped in there, so it's not as if they were the last day kind of addition to the postseason, so you can't think that they were ever going to truly challenge for any kind of title or even second round outing. Maybe they'll get to 5 games, but I'm going to say the Bucks in 4. What about yourself?
I had Bucks in 4, but it's going to be anywhere between 4 and 5. I can't see it going more than 5 games, really, to be honest.
It's got to be really about if there's any injuries to Giannis. If Giannis stays healthy, then it's a 4
Pretty
game,
much,
4 games.
Yeah. So touch wood, everyone stays healthy, including Blake Griffin. Players to watch here, I noted Blake Griffin or not watch. You might not want to watch.
If you want to see an ask for 4 games.
So the Bucks themselves, obviously a historic season, an amazing season.
Yes.
From, I think they were 6th, 7th or last year.
Yes.
Who finished first last year? Was it Boston?
No, Toronto.
Toronto did. So they were 7th last year. Obviously the first. Coach Bud with the 60-22 season. They were first in points per game. Second in pace, 4th in offensive rating, 1st in defensive rating. So they're not a pretender team, really.
No.
It's not they just made it there and that's their first. They're the real deal.
They're there to take on the Warriors and Houston, really.
Mm.
They're there to actually have a showing and do something pretty magical.
So we should talk about Thon obviously leaving the Bucks.
And going to Detroit. So he'll have something to prove, I feel like. And he's definitely the postseason player. He's not a regular season player.
No.
Feels like he comes out in the postseason. He could lift. It's just going to be... He's not going to be on the floor at the same time as Blake Griffin. obviously taking over that role. You might see him a little bit with Drummond. I don't think he's getting any more than 15 to 20 minutes a game. I just don't see it. I think, obviously rotations are shortened, but, the Bucks could run up pretty quickly.
I think if all falls the way it's fallen this season for the Bucks, I think they're going to just kind of play them off the park in the first 2 games at home, then maybe win one in Detroit and see it might be a gentleman's sweep after that. I can see that's pretty much how this series is going to go. Detroit, obviously, they've got Blake Griffin, but Blake Griffin's, as an individual, isn't at a Giannis level individual type player.
No.
And then, of course, if he gets injured because he's quite injury prone, then it's even like, it's going to be even worse. I had Bucks in 4 or 5 at the very most. But I couldn't even look at this series and go, they might choke.
Nah.
I couldn't even see that. I think the Bucks are just too good.
Just too much.
We'll be looking. That'll start tomorrow morning. Obviously, we saw some games this morning, which we'll talk about. We'll move on to the 6th seed Nets and the 3rd seed Philly. Spoiler alert: we won't go through it yet. We'll go through it a bit later.
Yeah.
Our Brooklyn Pretenders.
I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know. I don't know if the Pretenders. Obviously, there was a spoiler. There was a game today, and it didn't turn out very well for a certain Aussie, but. Are they Pretenders? I don't know. I think Russell's the real thing. I think they've got an interesting team. I don't know if they can put it together for an extended stretch. That's my only problem.
It'll be about how Philly can bounce back if there's any kind of trauma in their series. It'll be about their mental ability to have this experience to bounce back into the series if they go down.
Yeah.
That was how I was thinking about it at the start. They have the better team. They have the better scoring options. Brooklyn has the fuck it, run wild. Let's just try and do anything. No remorse. We've got nothing to lose. No expectations.
You're coming in 6th. You're playing against a team that has been touted as a postseason team, not even a regular. There's such enough individual talent that you can play. These guys are going to be a shortened rotation, and taking it to the Bucks, taking it to the Warriors, winning against plus 500 teams and losing against under 500 teams a lot. So it's kind of like they step up when it's needed.
Yeah.
But
so the Nets as well, no real experience, but at the same time they don't play any kind of gimmicky style that could get found out. They're just a team of well put together players who are playing probably a little bit above their level and their station at the moment.
Yes.
I'm not sure over a 7-game series. I didn't predict them obviously to win. I had Philly in between 4 and 6.
Yes. It's obviously I think it's going to be Philly in 6.
Yeah.
And this will jumpstart Philly into the next round. Coming up against either the Magic or Toronto.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
obviously Embiid had some injuries. I didn't realize he had
his knee's gone.
Injury.
His knee. Well, it's not an injury. It's my knee is sore.
Yeah.
It's there's no MRI. There's no imaging damage.
It's gonna get better.
It's just my knee is sore. So he needs rest. But he was 50-50 today. He was. It was up until the last 10 minutes. They know.
I saw that at the start. Yeah, at the start of the game.
If you're that far and down, don't play him.
But
give him that couple of days off.
Is that injury an injury that's... if we rest him and leave him out for a 3 or 4 games or 1 or 2 games even, are we going to get a better performance, or does he just play? Just fuck it, just play.
Yeah,
him.
But that's obviously if you're not going for a deep run. This is all or nothing. You're playing against a 6th seed. Have faith that the rest of the team can put together a win package over these games, and then Embiid can come back and play later on if we're in trouble, if we need to. But
the other one was Bolden had a bit of an injury trouble as well.
Yeah, but Bolden is a shortened rotation player. I mean,
but then I guess
Bolden at the 4. You don't play him at the 5.
Well,
he's a stretch forward. He's not a center.
It's a kind of cascade thing though. With Embiid out, obviously
you've got Boban, you've got Greg Monroe, you've got guys that can play the 5 and a Chubb. Why would you put Bolden in at the 5? I just don't understand it. especially in a rotation. He's the kind of guy that'll trail Simlins and knock down a 3-ball. That's where you want him at.
Yeah.
And he can rotate onto the weak side to support a centre like Munro or Boban, you know? So
block shots,
do all that kind of stuff.
So the season standing, it was 2-2. It was game one was the Nets win, and then a Philly win, and then a Nets win, and then a Philly win. So I'm not sure how this series, on paper, it all looks like Philly should win in 5 or 6, but this Nets team could get a roll on, and they have had a propensity to get hot and shoot well, which is always a bigger outlier than they've got an athletic player or they've got a big guy who can really score and they don't have the guards to kind of guard that guy. It's always shooting's kind of the outlier that beats another team.
Yeah.
And defensively, I think Philly is a better team than they kind of showed down the stretch of that season. But I was saying in the last episode where...
Are you just protecting yourself for the postseason? You know what I mean? You're not going too hard, not defending hard. But,
Yeah, but they had to rebuild with Butler and then Harris and then both. Like, they've had to rebuild twice, basically, this season and reintegrate guys. It's still on Brett Brown to try and work something out with this team and make it actually work for them. I'm not sure. Obviously, you didn't want to play Brooklyn in the first round, did you? Do you have another preference? You wanted Detroit?
Probably the Magic.
Oh, the Magic, yeah.
But again...
I feel like the Magic are kind of the same sort of team. Like,
yeah,
they have some shooters who might get hot, and that's hard to play against if they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Whereas Detroit, you look at Detroit, they're coming into that game with no shooters and just nothing to lose. But it's like, but they got no firepower. So where are they going to go, really? But you look at this Brooklyn team, the Orlando team, and you go, oh, if they get hot, they've run up some 140 pieces this season. Ooh, shit! That's got to be a worry. And then you look at Indiana and Celtics, and Indiana's like, they can't score, man.
Their point guards can't score.
110 minimum, maximum, pretty much every night. It was like the playoffs last year; they didn't even score over 100 points.
Yeah,
it was just like they fell apart. Obviously, Oladipo got injured in that. So you were pretty happy with Philly in 4 and 6.
I'm gonna go Philly in 6.
6, yeah. That's what I had. So, obviously, we will move on to the Pacers and the Celtics.
Celtics in 4 for me. I just don't see the Pacers putting up anything that consists of anything.
Yeah, well, without Oladipo, obviously, he's the big one. Marcus Smart, obviously, with a muscle injury.
But that allows Gordon Hayward to step up into the role and play some more minutes. Yeah. And, they've got... This is where the depth was like, all right, hasn't kind of gelled as a regular season. They didn't get to the games that they wanted to win. But postseason now... One of the best, 3-point line, defensive areas, 2 great centers. Uncle Drew can take over at will. That's what you want.
Yeah.
This is the time.
So, I was listening to Simmons, and Bill Simmons said they needed one injury. They were one injury away from, all right, let's reshuffle the roster, and we've got a decent team.
Yeah.
But the one guy they didn't really want to get injured was Smart.
Yeah,
because. Especially 4 to 6 weeks too, if he may not even return in the playoffs at all.
They reckon the injury is not as bad as one thought, so it could be closer to 3 to 4 weeks.
And he played injured last year too.
Yeah.
But the Hayward thing is good because the Hayward did look good. Like, he looked pretty good down the end of that season. You were kind of sort of going, okay, maybe it did take a year to really come back from that injury, and it does take a year for things like that to sort of heal themselves, which you always got to give the player the benefit of the doubt. But when you're looking at a season, you really look at it like, if he's not back, like we're in trouble, and it's next game and next game and next game, and the games come thick and fast, and you're still trying to integrate yourself. Whereas at the playoffs, everything stops, everything slows down.
Yeah.
And 30 times a night, you're going to go, well, it's the playoffs. We're playing the same team all the time. I just get to that spot.
Yeah.
And you develop a rhythm. You get a little bit better. You can keep doing that every night. It makes you a little bit better. Whereas when you're playing different teams, it's like, oh, no, it's this team. I got to guard this guy. Oh, wait, hang on. What team are we playing again? I got to do. But it's when it's the same team.
Yeah, it's a tug of war of coaching prowess, really.
I'm not a big fan of Nate McMillan, man.
Yeah, he's not great.
Last year was just... I don't know how they didn't beat the Cavs last year.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like, that was the year where I was like, oh, wow, with a healthy Oladipo, we're going to beat the Cavs.
Yeah.
And then they didn't, and it was like
LeBron will still peak though. He was good last year. He came out for the postseason.
But he wasn't good in that series though.
He wasn't great in that series, but still.
It was in Toronto where he just kind of took the weighted gear off and just went, okay, now I'm LeBron again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Uncle Drew late in games. I found watching them this season, the team looks like they get a little bit. Do we have to like? No, don't take over this game. Let everyone have a crack at winning this game. So maybe that might come into it a little bit further down the track. But closing games, I think he's probably one of the best in the league at finishing games, up there with like Paul George and players like that, Durant and Curry and other guys like that. I think it was 3-1 on the season series. So what was your prediction in the end?
4-zip.
4-zip, a sweep.
Yeah, it's going to be a sweep.
The broom's out.
Yeah. 4-zip to Boston.
I can see Indiana maybe getting one game minimum.
Yeah, I just think that Brad Stevens is a smart postseason coach.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll just be too much and they overwhelm them. And that would be it.
Yeah, so hopefully Bainesy can have a good series. He has had pretty good times out against Indiana, against Miles Turner and Thad Young and guys like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put Celtics anywhere between 5 and 7. I think that's a pretty handy answer.
Yes.
So that's pretty much all the Aussies in the East.
Move over to the West.
Move over to the West. We'll start with the Doo-Doo series, Spurs Nuggets.
Yeah, Nugs are going to get chunked. they're just to me, they don't have the experience. I think Jokic will go missing. Jamal Murray, they just don't have it for me. This is the first season they've had put together a really good season, but they haven't played. They've beaten teams they should have, and they haven't beaten teams that they shouldn't have. So it's kind of like postseason. Pop's a smart coach.
He's got so much experience.
Yeah,
in the
I don't think Denver is. They're just not there yet.
Nah, it's not quite there.
Will they get there ever? I don't think so. But they might get to second round. I think there'll be a playoff fixture for a number of years. I just don't think they'll ever get there. They just haven't got that team. And Jokic looks gassed. He can't play 35 minutes. He can't play short in rotation.
He's going to have to work on his conditioning. Like we were talking about Capella, where a couple of years ago Capella was the same thing. You were just like, this guy just gets gassed at the end of the season. And then suddenly he came out last year and he was like, wow, okay, now he looks a lot better and he's doing a lot more things to help this team. Jokic obviously has a lot more skill. And he relies on his skill. And I think the weight that's on the rest of this inexperienced team, like your Jamal Murray, Torrey Craig, Gary Harris, like these guys haven't gone through the fire yet. They're still probably 2 or 3 years away from really maturing. I just don't think Jokic has the game to really glue all those inexperienced guys together and take them forward. No. You know what I mean? Like if it was LaMarcus Aldridge, I might go, he does have the experience to do that. He does have just give me the ball, guys. I'm going to take over. Sweet. Yeah. Whereas I've never felt that with Jokic. All season I've never felt he's the man to take over this game.
No. He's a great player. He's a very interesting player, but he's just in a shortened rotation. I just don't think he has the gas to go. So for me, Spurs in 4.
For the sweep?
Yep.
Really? They're going to win two in a row in Denver?
Taking the first one in Denver.
Alert.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's huge. I think it'll go 7, and then maybe Spurs will win. It's a balance between have the Spurs really got the right roster to win this series?
I think,
up against, does that trump the lack of experience that Denver has?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've got Rudy Gay, they've got Patty Mills, they've got deep bench guys that have had multiple years of experience in the playoffs, coupled with a DeRozan, an Aldridge, Jakob Poeltl, Davis Bertans, who's shooting the 3-ball really well, Derek White. It seems like a better roster.
Yeah.
And, for me, Denver just don't have it.
You're really
trash.
Really low on Denver, eh? Commentators, you're still salty about those commentators.
I'm salty about that, but I just don't think they've got it. They've got it.
I don't think they do either. Like I was kind of watching them and just thinking to myself, it doesn't look right. It doesn't fit together.
Yeah.
Like it fits when you're on the road and you're just like a game here, a game there. Like I'm playing this team, playing that team, let it sweep. But when you really like get down to the nuts and bolts, I just think Spurs has the experience to really grind this series up, and then Denver doesn't have that experience to just go, oh, we're going to have to navigate the way they're grinding this up.
Yeah, and Denver do like to play out on the break a bit when Jokic isn't on the floor, and I think that Pop can just slow that down. Smart. It'll be a low-scoring series. I don't think it'll get above 110. I think it'll just be a grindy kind of win.
Yeah, the season...
They'll all be close. They'll be close games, but I think it'll just be a grindy win.
The season series was 2-2, so it was 1-1-1, 103 Spurs, then a 102-99 Nuggets, 104-103 Spurs, 113-85 Nuggets. So not high scoring at all.
No.
Not run and gun type of basketball. So you had a sweep. I had Spurs in 6 or 7. I think that'll be an interesting series to watch from a basketball perspective. I think it's going to be like DeRozan. I'm not a DeRozan. I'm putting money on DeRozan. Put your bets on the table, DeRozan.
No.
Like, I'm not someone I'm like, oh, no, I think I'm not going to gamble on DeRozan.
But he adds some depth.
He does.
He adds some depth, adds another piece, scoring option, put up 16 to 25 a night.
I think I'd hedge on LaMarcus and put a little bit to win some money back on DeRozan. But then if you look at that Denver side, there's no one in that Denver team where you're like, right, I'm putting my money... Like on Jamal Murray, I'm just, maybe in a couple of years. Jokic, maybe if the team was a little bit better. Then from there, there's, a Plumlee, there's Torrey Craig and Gary Harris that, like Gary Harris had a good night but you're not going, that's a seasoned player who's going to win your game.
You're going to bench. Like there's just too many like LaMarcus 20 points, DeRozan 16 to 24 points. Denver doesn't have that. Nah. Yeah, they just don't have that. They have
Murray or kind of nothing, and then if Jokic is having a good night, then...
Yeah.
I feel like the LaMarcus-Jokic matchup is going to be really interesting because... With Jokic kind of looking gassed, LaMarcus is also a guy that if you run him around, he kind of starts to look gassed as well. Yeah. He becomes a bit of a depreciating strategy.
Yeah.
We've seen a few teams in the last couple of years go, oh, you're tossing it into LaMarcus. We'll just beast him, run him around the floor. And, suddenly you stop kind of putting up 100, 110. He stops putting up 30 a night and he kind of struggles. So... Maybe Denver can kind of come into that a little bit, but then you just again go back to the no experience.
Yeah.
Good luck, Denver. So we're hoping that Paddy goes through. Basically, we're a little bit biased.
We are a bit biased. We're happy, but I think they will get through to the next round.
The Spurs.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I reckon this is probably the series of the whole playoffs.
Jazz Rockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's the one I'll be watching tomorrow with bells on. Donovan Mitchell could take over the series. To me, they're just one pest short for Houston. Like, you need that pest.
Yeah. You mean the Jazz are?
Jazz are. Yeah. They're just one pest short. Yeah. I mean, you have to get in Harden's face. You have to foul the beard. You have to do all the funny things because that's the only way to throw him off.
Yeah.
Is like a Corey Brewer style flop city. It was flop versus flop. Yeah. Flop gods. That's
flop on flop crime.
Flop on flop crime. That's for me. They're missing one pest. I don't know who can be that pest. Yeah. Maybe Allen could take that pest job, but I mean, Exum was that pest last series for him. He got injured. Good length, quick. He's obviously injured this year and he won't be there. So they're just missing a pest. And
that's
the
big one.
I think the Rockets will take it in 5.
Your Rockets in 5 for you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Jazz. Like, obviously, I went all in on really overrating the Jazz this season. But you are right. They don't have that one guy that can guard Harden like Paul George for OKC, where you're like, great matchup. The only one that you could kind of maybe think is a Crowder or Royce O'Neal, and that's kind of like
they're just.
I'm just like, I'm not betting on that.
No.
For how good Harden is, you've also got to worry about Chris Paul, and you want to see Donovan Mitchell play well against Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a seasoned veteran. Donovan Mitchell in his second season. There's the potential for Donovan Mitchell to try and take over the game and just get into Russell Westbrook mode where you're just like, can you just stop taking shots, man? What are you doing? Rubio's back and healthy. Like, I think the Jazz has some demons to avenge from that last year's semifinals.
I think they'll pip one at home. I think they've got a good postseason team. It's just a shame they came up against Houston round 1. I think if they could work out some kinks, potentially play the Nuggets or the Trailblazers, I think any other series they win potentially. I just think Houston's on the up and up. They're putting some crazy 3-ball numbers up. The Jazz typically don't run off the line that well. It's kind of, Gobert guarding the paint. Yeah, I think Harden's drive game will disappear with Gobert, but I think he'll just take step back three after step back three after step back three.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll get in the lane too much, just because I think Gobert is enough of a deterrent. He's had a really good back end of the season defensively, but I'm just seeing 33s go up a night from Houston, if not more.
Yeah, more. It'll be 50. But the counter to that, obviously, is the Jazz are the team with Gobert, Favors, and then other Chubb guys, kind of like Crowder and Royce O'Neal, that kind of match Houston. Kind of like Favors isn't as good as, a Fareed or Nene, I don't think. I think defensively, I don't think they're as good as what Harden and Capella are. Like, I'm not saying that they're not as good or they're crap, but I'm just saying when you throw that Harden Capella thing at the Jazz, they might have a Gobert Favors thing to stop that. It might go well, but it could, like, as soon as you kind of pull Gobert off the weak side, Capella's always there every time. Harden just drops it straight over, and it's basically Harden rolling the dice and just being, all right, roll the dice. Okay, it's a drive and score, and drives and scores. Yeah. Or he gets fouled. And it's, okay, it's Capella with the dump off. Oh, that guy came over. Yep, no worries. I'll just toss it over. And then obviously the step back. So the other thing is, like, you've got to, as the Jazz, you've got to goad Harden into just taking a fuckload of shots, and crazy shots. Yes. Try and keep the ball out of Chris Paul's hand, try and stop him from running any kind of decent pick and roll action and getting mid-range jumpers. I don't think they've really done that well, the Jazz, defending that, really.
But look, for me, this is a series of some ridiculously high scores on both sides of things. I think it's going to be like a 130, 125.
Yeah.
Both teams, Houston can score in the face of good defense, but their defense is also lacking. They're not a team that is an active defense team. They're not going to limit any team in the playoff series to under 100. My view.
Yeah, I don't think you could limit Houston. I think not many teams, just a handful of teams kept Houston under 100 this season.
Yeah.
And the Jazz, obviously second in defensive rating. That's a big thing, but it flies in the face of conventional basketball. Second in the league, conventional basketball. Yeah. But if you were playing Houston 82 games a night, I don't think you'd come up with a second defensive rating. Like, it just doesn't translate to that.
But again, Houston have a game where they'll shoot complete mung, and the Jazz will trounce them.
And it's like it unwinds, it unravels, and it unravels.
But then they're professional enough to pick up the pieces and move on, and then shoot at a ridiculous pace the next night. And I think that's why.
That's kind of how they beat them last year.
Yeah, that's how they beat them last year.
They lost that game, and instead of just being like, oh, no, it's 1-1 and we're going back to the Utah, they just came out and just went, whatever, man, we'll just keep shooting shots. Oh, look, you couldn't score. What a shame, and you guys got injured.
Yeah.
And I think there's some demons there for the Jazz to use to go, right, we want to avenge that game because Exum got injured. Rubio was injured. Even Donovan Mitchell was kind of injured down the end of that. They didn't play that well. They've added Korver this season.
Yeah. I
don't think that's going to do much, really. That's going to give him an outside shot, but defensively he's kind of very exploitable. Scheme-wise, I like the Jazz's mass.
Yep.
Clogging things up, but at the same time, when it unravels, I don't like the way you can just abuse Gobert. Yeah. Bring him out, abuse him, although he has gotten a lot better this season. So if you look at the season series, game 1 was 189 Jazz, 2 was 118-91 Jazz.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's twice that the Jazz held them under 100, but then you look at when it was like right at the start of the season when they had Melo.
Yeah.
And Melo played for two games, and it was just like, out, bye, thanks for coming, Melo. Which sucks for him because OKC went like a whole season trying to fit him in. Oh, we've got to accommodate Melo, and Houston pretty much two games was like, bye, thanks. And, they're notorious for just, bye, thanks. So what did you have? Rockets?
I think Rockets will do it in 5.
Rockets in 5. So I had the Jazz in 7. Could be the Jazz in 6, but the other thing is, like, this could literally go from a Rockets sweep to the Jazz in 7. Like, that's how I see this series. Like, it's so wide open that it could...
If they catch fire, it's just going to be, they've caught fire this game. Well, let's just wipe that game. turd this game. Jazz will smash them. Caught fire. And it just could be a 50-50, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world, where they are in the US. If they catch fire and start shooting the 3-ball at ridiculous paces, they will win every game.
And if that coincides with the 1-2, like 3-1 now. They just got hot twice in a row. That's the series over. And I think that's what they're kind of trying to do. That's the team. That's what they do. That's their thing. I really hope the Jazz limit it. The other thing is the travel too, like traveling to altitude from Texas might take it out of the Rockets a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still think if the Jazz are going to win, it's going to be in 7. But I think the Rockets have the opportunity to sweep, basically. Yeah, if it could just be 1-2 bang bang, and then you're just like, oh no, they got hot twice, and then oh no, they're down 20. The Jazz are down 20 at home, and then you're just like, it's over. Yeah,
it's done. It's done. Not coming back from that. We've got one more series with an Aussie in it.
Yes.
Golden State Clippers.
Warriors.
I think we can pretty much
sweep.
Yeah.
Get out the brooms for that.
Get out the brooms for that. Clippers a bit of a weird mix of how they actually made it to the playoffs. Consistency, playing well. Superstar team with no stars, no superstars. I can see them pipping one at home, maybe. Like, Draymond gets ejected for some ridiculous flagrant foul, and DeMarcus goes missing because he's tired. Yeah. And, Clay's not shooting the ball well, and it's really just Steph and Durant versus Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, and Shamet gets hot and shoots 9 of 10, once. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I think sweep, but if worst case scenario...
It's a gentleman sweep or sweep, basically. It's Warriors in 4 or 5, I think. It's like the Spurs last year where they knew it was 3-0 and they had the foot on the throat, but they were just like, hang on, let me just make a cup of tea and read the paper. We can allow one win here. Sweet. Yeah. Okay, now we'll kill you at home. No worries. Yeah. We should talk about the Clippers. Like, how the hell did they make the 8th seed? Like, where did that come from? But then if you look at it, goes Sacramento, then like T-Wolves and all these other teams where you're just like, oh, don't have them in the playoffs. Like, Minnesota couldn't have them in the playoffs. Sacramento, you could probably go, I have them in the playoffs. They're a pretty crazy team. A little bit like the Brooklyn of the West. And then who finished under the Clips? I think it was Sacramento. There was another team in there where you look at these teams and you just go, no, we can't have them in the playoffs.
No, it was the Sacramento, Lakers. Yeah, and but
the Lakers was the only other team where, oh, what a shame they didn't make the playoffs. But then it's the same. It's just like, you can't be in the playoffs.
No, man. Not good enough.
So the Clippers were kind of the best of a bad set of maybe 4 or 5 teams in that chunk of between 8 and 12. And then you've obviously got like the crappy tanking teams like Phoenix and Dallas, who started all right, maybe might have made the playoffs if they tried. Memphis, who were like hot.
Yeah, they were first for the first like 16 rounds.
But I think the Clippers are kind of on the up, and they don't have like plant your flag into the sand offense. No. Where you're like, plan it, this guy's worth this a night, that guy's worth
well, actually, the one guy is Lou Williams.
Yeah, but he's
worth 20 to 30 a night.
He comes off the bench, and that 20 to 30 is in 2 chunks that are about 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
And in that time, oh no, Steph's put up 30 and you're down 20 and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Harrell has the chance to kind of go off and play really well, but he's very untried and tested too. It's not seasoned, it's not battle hardened, and he's a very kind of unique scorer around the rim. Yeah. Like if they had maybe 2 or 3 Lou Williams and all 3 of those were 6'7", 6'8", then you'd go, oh shit, that's a dangerous team. Lou Will, and then the next guy, and then the next guy. It's kind of like Lou Will comes on, scores, and then goes off, and you're like, well, you just lost the game because you've got no one else who can score.
Yeah. For me, it's the dark horse is Shamet because he can put up 3 points a night, or he could shoot 9 of 10 from 3. You're like, ooh, okay, he's just...
But he's still a rookie as well, and that's the big stage for him.
Yeah,
too.
And it's his first season. It's a shame he's still not at Philly. I really...
Oh, that is a shame, yeah.
Such a good player, and such a bright future as well. Just Reddick clone who's 6'4" and guard, the 1 through 3. So that's a much better.
So what was you had sweep?
I had sweep, yeah, sweep. Maybe Clips taking one.
Yeah, gentleman sweep or gentleman sweep. That's what I think for the Warriors. They obviously, the first game was the infamous Durant and Draymond Green blow-up game.
Yeah.
how far have they come from there? Like the start of the season, everyone, it's going to be over. The dynasty's over. Kevin Durant's leaving, and they ended up having a decent season.
Curry gets contacts, and hold on, he's now 8 from 12.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I think the Clippers are exploitable, really. Like, they're not a team that's born out of like the Jazz like defense, where you're like, wow, great defense, what a defensive team. They're a vulnerable team who's kind of, you know, if you really run them ragged, you're going to run up a big score on them, and then they won't be able to score and, you know, come back into a series. But yeah, we should move on. People are bored of hearing about the Warriors in the attempt to three-peat. The other two series, we'll just quickly talk about those. Orlando, Toronto.
Toronto aren't a postseason team.
I don't know what they are.
Kawhi, I mean, obviously Orlando can get hot. I do think Toronto will do it in 6. And I think that'll set up a Philly showdown in the Eastern Conference semi-final. I just think Kawhi can take over games, defend well. I think if Orlando pip a couple, it'll be a close last shot kind of thing. But yeah, Kyle Lowry could go missing. Siakam isn't battle tested. The only postseason tested player there is Kawhi. Yeah, really. So it'll just be interesting to see. Nick Nurse, you know.
Yeah, who knows how he's going to go? Really?
Who knows how he's going to go? Orlando are the team on the up and up. You know, they've had a great run into the playoffs. They were nowhere near making the playoffs 8 weeks ago. Yeah, they were just like, 4 or 5 weeks ago. Yeah, it was like, magic.
That's it. And then they just went on this tear and playing pretty well too. Fournier shooting the ball well. Gordon's been playing well.
And Fournier's trash, and yet he's been shooting the ball well. Aaron Gordon, I've always thought, is a good player.
But in the right spot.
Yeah.
Like a JaVale McGee where you just stand there, do these things.
Yeah, but he's got a mid-range game.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a mid-range game and can shoot the 3 ball, and he's chubby. He's a big power forward.
Powerful and athletic, but not to be relied upon really.
No, none of them in their team to be relied upon, but if they get their shit happening, then they're going to be a bit of a force. So for me, Raptors in 6.
Yeah, I think Raptors in 6 as well. We'll go to Portland and OKC on the other side of the draw.
No idea.
I think
Jokic, the injury...
Nurkic,
sorry. The injury to Nurkic.
There's so many itches and Nurs and Bogdanoviches and Bojanoviches and Marjanoviches. We're just humble Aussies.
Yeah. That injury for me was the deciding factor in Portland's postseason. And for me, it'll be OKC in 5.
OKC in 5. So... obviously, I think the OKC, where they ended up, they may have played Houston, which would have been a really interesting kind of like, right, gloves off, let's duke it out series. I kind of feel like they've ended up on the other side of the draw playing Portland with the possibility of playing Denver and the Spurs. It's like they should pretty much go to the conference final, really.
They should. They should be in the conference final against the Warriors.
They should kind of easily dominate Portland without a proper... They don't have a proper center. They kind of got Zach Collins and...
Yeah. And they're kind of just... They're snippet centers. Like, they'll have one good moment in the game. Like, Zach Collins, block of the year. But he's like none from 4 and 1 rebound.
Useless and gets rinsed. And you see that highlight, but you don't see any other stuff. But the other thing is OKC could easily just unravel. Like Damian Lillard is a staple. He's a guy I'd bet on. CJ got injured and he's only just come back. Yeah. And he's kind of been a bit up and down too this season. Like it hasn't been great.
I think this will go the distance. I think this will go 7 games.
7?
Yeah.
OKC in 7?
Yeah.
I would say OKC in 6 because it feels like Portland is still just one douche staggered. Oh no, they capitulated and fell over. Because last year they went into that final series favourites against the Pelicans, and the Pelicans just destroyed them. Yeah. And we said on the podcast at the start of the season, fuck, this could go either way. That could really be damaging for them this season. But they bounced back. And, oh, sweet, no worries. And Nurkic had a really good season. It sucks that he got injured. But I don't know if they have the weapons to... If Paul George gets hot, then no one can really guard Paul George. It's like Evan Turner. Yeah, that'd be fun watching him try and guard Paul George. Westbrook. The only other one is if Damian Lillard takes over and has like a blinder...
50-pointer,
once or twice, maybe.
Yeah.
But who knows if that's going to happen? Like, who really knows? I don't know if there's enough around Lillard there for him to be able to pull off a singular feat Like to take it, you know what I mean? Like there's not enough guts there for him. Like, Lillard took over and won the game. Like he doesn't, you just can't do that. I don't think he's the type of player that can do that in this kind of team at the moment. But yeah, that's all of those. So should we go on to the games that were played today?
Yeah, we'll go on
about those.
We'll talk about it pretty briefly. Philly were terrible. 13% from three.
Oof.
I think that was 54% from the line. You know, you just make up some free throws and the game's pretty much there as well. So terrible. Simmons was crap. JJ Redick was horrible. Fouled out. It was just the Jimmy Butler featuring a little bit of Embiid. I think Marjanovic had a great game. I think TJ McConnell played quite well. Tobias Harris was absolute trash. They will come back. I think this is an uppercut, but they will come back. I think they'll take the series deep, and I think the series will go to 6. But yeah, trash showing from Philly today.
When it started, like the game started all right. I was like, Embiid's getting to the line. They've got no one to guard Embiid.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And Ed Davis and Jared Allen, I think Jared Allen had 3 fouls like really early. And just like, oh, wow, this is going to be a dream run for Philly. And then Tobias Harris just like looked lost, man.
He just keeps trying to drive. Like, you can't drive. Your job, Tobias Harris, is to stand on the 3-point line and put up shots early in the set. You will have wide open shots. He doesn't. He pump fakes and drives and tries to get into the key to pull up for a 2. But it's not that much a higher percentage than the potential 3 ball or what he was shooting at the Clippers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work because you've got Butler, Embiid, and Simmons in there. So you're just driving into nothing. And then you've got no one to kick to because they're just going to stick to Redick like glue.
Yeah, Redick's pretty much the only shooter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Milwaukee have done the right thing in Giannis always has 3 or 4 shooters around him at all times, whereas Philly don't have 3 shooters really. They kind of got Redick and Mike Scott. Unreliable.
Hot and cold.
And then beyond that, TJ McConnell doesn't really want to shoot a 3 ball. And then Simmons won't shoot the 3 ball either. So it's kind of like I don't feel like this game was Brooklyn. They've unlocked something here, and Philly are screwed.
D'Angelo Russell he went hot in the third.
Well, he was one of 10 or none of 10 or something at the start of the game, and that's where. They went on like a 12-0 run or something, a 12-1 run or something, and Philly came back, and I thought, sweet, Philly's just going to come back and probably overtake them. Then they kind of held them at bay a little bit, which was impressive to see the Nets play like that. I was like, that's nice. Yeah. That's a good little thing to hold on to for the Nets. Harris guarded Harris really well. Harris on Harris crime. I like that. That was good. And he shot the ball well, 5 of 7, 3 of 4, for only 13 points, but still.
Doesn't matter. It's efficiency if you're shooting low volume.
12%, 3 of 25.
It's fucking terrible. But again, 3 of 25. They just had a bad night.
5 of those was Embiid. Redick 1 of 4.
Yeah.
And then Mike's got 1 of 8. So you kind of want Redick having 8 and maybe an extra 3 of those Embiid.
Yeah, Mike Scott should be taking 8 shots. It's ridiculous.
But
again, I think Brett Brown had realised straight away this isn't working. We're going to go deep into the roster because TJ played 20 minutes. Mike Scott played 20 minutes. That isn't a shortened rotation.
And Redick had foul trouble, basically. Yeah. That's why. So the other, what did you think about the refereeing in this game? It's kind of started weird. Like they were just calling everything, and then they just decided not to call things for a stretch in that second quarter.
Yeah, and just let's let the play run. There's too many players that have foul trouble, and it's just bench sitting. All right, we'll just not call nothing on both sides. They were finishing it through contact, and it just I think the referee needs to get a bit.
For Redick to foul out, it's kind of like something's not right there because he's not a guy who plays down in the paint, guards a lot down low.
No.
Not a lot of body contact. It's kind of perimeter action. Like, why is a guard fouling out? That's kind of a bit weird.
Yeah.
And not oh, wow, he's a lockdown player. Like, JJ Redick's a lockdown defender.
No, he's not a lockdown defender.
So, you understand. Like, I thought at times it was unusual to see... Like, Embiid a few times was going, man, it's the playoffs. Like, can you just let us play? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you calling all these crazy calls? And... it really broke Philly's rhythm. Like, they couldn't get into a rhythm. Plus, they're a team with Butler and Embiid who like to post up and be physical with the way they score.
Yeah.
Really disrupted their rhythm with that sort of thing. And Tobias Harris kind of trying to get into the lane. It was just kind of weird, man. They shot a lot of free throws, 42 free throws, but at the same time, I still feel like it was reffed a bit weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Butler 36 points. He had a great night. 11 of 22.
Embiid shot pretty poorly. Simmons was trash.
Embiid's got to stop taking threes.
Yeah. Oh, he gets hot some games though. That's the thing, and he's left wide open.
It's the playoffs. Yeah, they're going to leave him open, and you can't shoot. Like they did that to the Warriors today. We'll talk about the Warriors later, but they did the same thing. And if they shoot it, it's great. Yeah, top notch. Like, you know, they left him Embiid open. He went 3 of 6. Great, that's great. But if he goes 0 of 5, you're just like, job done. Nice. We're gonna make sure you shoot threes because you didn't shoot any threes. So it's fool's gold, and it's like, you know, the devil's playground. You got to hope they miss, but at the same time, there's a chance they could get hot. You just got to manage that.
Indeed.
We'll move on, should we, to the Magic at Raptors. I didn't actually watch this game.
I did not either. I'll watch the highlights later, but we'll move on to the Aussie. The only Aussie. Bogut had, 3 minutes in this win?
Okay. And then not bad minutes off the bench.
Not bad minutes off the bench, but a pretty clinic from Steph. 8 of 12, wasn't he?
He was 8 of 12 from 3. 8 of 9 from the free throw line. You don't see him shooting 10 free throws very often.
Yeah.
They started quite well. Draymond Green was hitting threes at the start. You're just like, wow, Draymond Green 5 from 5 out the gate when he's locked in. You know,
when Draymond's locked in, you're not going to lose a game because, you know, Clay's had a bit of a poor shooting outing, but like you said, we were chatting earlier off air that his job is defending the 3-point line, and you know, if you can run, you know, it's probably why Shamet didn't shoot anything at all.
Well, his job is basically like the fireman of defense.
Yeah.
Switching onto dudes, like it's basically trying to get Durant off of small guys and off of fast guys, and Curry off of big guys.
Yeah,
and it's the ultimate team of Durant, of Draymond Green and Clay that fits perfectly into those two spots to try and get those guys off. As his Cousins is not a great defender; he's a little bit up and down. And then Bogut's probably still a little bit unfit and raw to kind of fit. He only had 2 minutes today. Like I said in the last episode, I just don't know if they're going to play him that often. Looney has been really good, and he's getting really good at moving his feet, defending downhill on guys like Lou Williams, who that's how he scores. It's like Lou Williams runs pick and roll, gets to the rim. And Looney did a good job of defending him today. But really, the Clippers just don't have scoring. They don't have... These guys are going to score this. They have Lou Williams and Harrell might get hot a little bit for about 6 minutes, a quarter. Then they have to sit for 6 minutes where they can't really do anything. And if the other team's on shooting, and that's kind of what happened. It was all sort of tied up, you know, with about 4 minutes to go until halftime. Then the Warriors made a little bit of a run, and then the Clippers just like kind of lost their shit. There was a bad call. They didn't get a foul. There were some technicals. They were just whinging. They had a bit of a meltdown. And then in the third, they broke it open. That's kind of where Curry did a lot of his damage. It's starting to feel more again like if he's wide open and taking shots, you're just like, oop, that's in. Like,
yeah.
Boogie Cousins fouled out, 6 fouls. We'll go back to that Nets game. Did Jared Dudley, man? Did you see how many flops that guy was doing?
Yeah,
that was insane. The first one where he just threw him, like there was this really minor contact, and he just kind of went to the ground.
You're going to see a bit of acting, I think for teams that are trying to get, you know, scramble that win. You're going to see a fair bit of acting.
There was a little bit in this game too, this Clippers game, between Durant. Durant and Beverly got ejected. There was 2. They got double technical, and they got a double technical again and ejected. They were going at each other, but Patrick Beverly is like a pest type player, but at the same time, he's not that good. No, he's literally a pest. Yeah, and it's like, I get it, but do we really need to do that? Like it's not working. Just stop doing it. Don't just keep doing it until we both get technical and we both get ejected. Yeah, maybe he's trying to do that earlier on. It's just like, all right, I'm happy to get ejected 7 games here, and I'll just try to get their best player ejected. Because I remember when the Warriors played the Wizards a couple of years ago, Bradley Beal just grabbed Draymond around the head, and then it's like both ejected. I'm like, hang on, he just grabbed Draymond, they both went to the ground, and they both get ejected because a guy just basically rugby tackled the other guy. And I feel like these things are happening less and less, where 2 guys really get into it now. Like there's a level of professionalism across the board where these guys don't, it's not real. You know what I mean? Like it's
a
not
punch hasn't been thrown
it's not
since
real.
Chris Paul, and
that was pretty good though.
yeah, that was good.
So I wonder if like the league is really going for, we don't want any shit.
No,
we want it to be the cleanest. We want it, but at the same time, like it takes some serious refereeing to manage that. Like it really does take the fucking creme de la creme of refereeing, which I don't think they're that great. And then like game management, like in this game, like they just let it get out of control.
Yeah,
and you're like, yeah, that's what happens. Like you let it get out of control.
You have to know those players that are going to be pest-like and rein them in from running of mouths and things like that, and get it on the face early, get them fouling early so they potentially sit. But if you just let it go to the point where they're just barking.
Yeah. And there was a few stoushes between Durant. Like Durant's just giving him the like, no. And like there's the Clippers, I felt like might have used that to their advantage too. That was what I was trying to get at. Like I felt like the Clippers might have just gone, fuck it, let's just goon these guys. Who cares? Like if we can goon them and get away with it, sweet. But at the same time, like it didn't really work. The Warriors kind of have too many weapons for that, and you know, I just don't like Gallinari. You know, he shot 4 of 14. That's not great.
No.
And what did Shamet have off the bench? No, he started 1 of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Shamet. He's a good player.
Yeah,
it really does suck that he's not in Philly anymore. But yeah, I think the Warriors, you know, are good enough to win this series. I think in 4 or 5.
Definitely.
But yeah, we'll move on to the Spurs and Nuggets, the game of the day. This was such a fascinating game, man. It
was down to the wire. It was some good Paddy down the end.
He hit a nice clutch bucket down the end.
Terrible Jamal Murray down the end.
Yeah, he missed that
shot, then lost the ball at the next play.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, that's a wrap, folks. But again, that's my take. That's why it's going to be a sweep. They're just not.
You reckon?
Mentally there.
Not battle hardened yet. Jokic, obviously 36 minutes, 4 of 9. You know, he was even, so he didn't have any plus minus, 10 points, and then he sort of matched that up. LaMarcus Aldridge, 6 of 19, 15 points. So that's not a great night for LaMarcus.
No, it wasn't a great game, but it was a good game. It was tough. It was a low scoring.
Yeah,
but it was some smart pop coaching. Put it that way.
It was one for the purists who just like this kind of basketball.
Yeah,
it wasn't offensive fireworks. It was every time the Spurs locked everything up, Denver kind of got a little bit of leeway. Then they went, no, you're not getting away. And then the Spurs kind of got a bit of a roll on in the third, and then got enough of a buffer to kind of keep them at bay. Forbes played pretty well in this game too, 3 of 4 from 3. They just don't shoot a lot of 3 balls. No. And then
they don't need to do what they do anyway.
Denver, I think, trumped Philly, did they? Oh, no, 12%. Sorry. Yeah, 21.4%, 6 of 28 on threes. They shot 28 threes, and then Spurs only shot 15 threes, 7 of 15. And that's where they beat them, really. Yeah. Running him inside, running him around. DeRozan, look, he's not a guy that I would, like I said, put money on finishing a game for me. Like, if I had, you know, someone to take the last shot and my life was on the line, DeRozan's probably not the guy I'd pick to take it. And he almost muffed this game down the end as well. He almost fucked it up for him as well. But at the same time, he grabbed 12 boards. He rebounded really well, and that was important too. It kind of kept Jokic off the glass. Jokic did have 14 rebounds, 3 offensive boards, but it kept them out of transition. Like it kept them moving, kept them from moving, which was just really good. But yeah, so yeah,
cool.
It was good.
Great.
What else do we need to go into? Anything else really? No.
I think that's it. Let's end it and wrap it there.
Yeah. So we'll be back. This week?
This week sometime.
There'll be some more games we can
do. More games. We'll talk about more games. We will put up the Cavs season review this week for all you Cavs fans out there. We'll put that up this week, and then we might go to unders, overs, and Dallas wrap up on the weekend when we have some time.
Yeah, we'll try and get the TV involved and get some over under on the TV or something like that.
Definitely.
Do some stuff.
We'll organise it. All right, guys. Thank you. Remember, you like, share, and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, and keep listening because we appreciate you guys. So
thanks very much. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take it easy. See you.
Peace.